Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 8th episode of PAOK Talk. We're your hosts, Angelo and Jono. Jono, how are you?
Hey Angela, yeah, I'm good, man. I'm excited. Derby game coming up this weekend, and I'm excited to see how the boys go up against a tough opponent. And I'm also excited because we have a guest with us this week.
Right, yeah. We have our guest, our buddy Greg, who is a writer for the Hellas Football blog. Greg, how are you?
Hey guys, lovely to be here. Thank you for introducing me.
Of course, yeah. So Greg is I guess you could say an expert on Nike. He's a specialist. Like we're specialists on PAOK, which I don't know if that's a great thing or a bad thing.
Yes.
So Greg, if you want to just go over Ike's expectations this year for the league, for Europe, they had so far a good campaign in Europe, making it to the group stages of the Europa League. So what are your expectations for the club, and how's everything going so far for the club this year?
Things are going quite good. We've had probably our best transfer period in a long time. We've had some really good transfers come through, which in the past, as people may or may not know, we've based a lot of our transfers on loans and loaning in players for a season or two, or really a season. Whereas this year we've actually bought some pretty decent players. So that's, for one, has been a huge improvement from AEK. An example is a guy we bought called Tankovic, who in the past 2 seasons we've probably been flirting with him on and off constantly on a loan transfer and trying to get him to AEK. We've actually bought him out now. We bought a guy called Levi Garcia. He came from Israel, but his potential and his profile was fantastic. We bought him. He, of course, AEK's lucky got injured after showing huge promise in our last league game, and he looks to be. He was going to be another month till he's back. So those are the type of things we haven't seen at AEK. Transfers like this, quality transfers coming in like that is new for us. So that's great, and we're kind of something we're expecting with our new stadium premiering next season. And then, it's given us depth. So our goals for the season is definitely to be competitive. We want to be up there with PAOK and Olympiacos fighting for the championship. There is no doubt about that. The depth we have this year and the quality of players we have, I think, can make that a reality. But we're going to see a lot of those, any questions we have in regards to that answered on the game that we've got coming up with PAOK. And I think we'll jump into that, of course, later, but I am confident of a win there. And then the big challenge is beating Olympiacos is the one team we've struggled with, especially last year. So on the Greek side of things, we're going to be challenging for a championship and nothing less. For Europa League, we've achieved our goal of reaching the group stages, and that was Carrera's big goal pre-season as the number one goal. Now it's a matter of being competitive and really fighting for that progression to the next round from the group stages. We have Leicester, Braga, and a team whose name right now eludes me, but they're from Ukraine. Our game, we've got our first game against Braga in Portugal, which is going to be a huge game and will really dictate our progress from there on in. But, our realistic goal there is also progression to the next round. So they're very hefty goals that we're aiming for. But I feel like we've brought in a squad that has got enough depth to be able to do this.
Yeah, I think it's awesome that, and you touched on bringing transfers to Greece, to AEK and then to Greece, obviously. And I think that's big for a lot of the clubs. And for us to get our country coefficient up, to be able to get more teams in Europe here and there in the Champions League and the Europa League. I think it's big that we get big name players, not only on loan, but, we buy some. Olympiacos has been doing that a while. PAOK started doing that the last couple of years. It looks like AEK is doing that. So I think it's a good mix of young players and older players. How do you rate your chances for this upcoming game? I'll go to you, Greg, first. Then I'll bring it over to Jono for the opposite outlook from a PAOK point of view. There's a lot of AEK players that are going to be out. If you could touch on that, and you mentioned earlier that you're confident. What reasons are you confident? Where do you think that is a strength for AEK over PAOK, and where do you think that is a place where PAOK has an advantage over AEK?
I'm confident. Look, if we didn't have all these injuries that we've got, I would have been very confident. I'm confident, as I mentioned before, because we have depth. So we've got the Levi Garcia winger on the right who's out, and I think Albanis can come in. He had an injury a few weeks back, but since the international break, he should be okay. So Levi Garcia's in, but I think he can be replaced by Albanis. Bakakis, the Greek international right back, he's still injured, so he'll be replaced by Paulinho. For me, that's a swap that doesn't make much difference, so Paulinho will be just as good for him. Insua, the left back that we bought from Panathinaikos, got injured in the last minute. That is probably one area where we might struggle because the replacement Lopez, he was under an injury cloud. I don't think he'll be ready. So there's a chance that one of the academy players called Mario Mitaj could be starting there, which is late breaking news on that one. So that is an area where PAOK would probably target is our left back position, because if the young guy starts there, he's going to be making his debut. Mandalos is obviously out as well. That's a big loss for us. He was very on here for Greece, I have to say, in the games that happened over the weekend, but he can be replaced by Marco Livaja, and that's a handy replacement. Livaja has been his form hasn't been, he's been a bit hot and cold. He's probably been a bit colder this season than normal, but I think he can stand up and replace that Mandalos there. We have, we usually have a stack of players that can play in the defensive centre midfield position. So we've got Galanopoulos out, which is no surprise, but we do have Simanski still out, and Simoa's out, which is a huge loss because he was starting to show some amazing form. He scored that amazing goal against Wolfsburg. But you guys will be familiar with Shankov, who we bought from back into Greece this season, and he's been starting all the games. So he will start with Kristisic, I'm sure, in the centre midfield position, and that will be strong. The only thing is that they'll have to play the whole game, and I think we've got a midweek game with Braga, which might hurt us for the European game, but that will happen there. So overall, even though we've got all these players out, that's up to 6 players, key players out, we have replacements. So I think against the current PAOK and what I've seen of PAOK at the moment, I thought you were really good in that away game with the Russian team in the Champions League qualifiers. Then I watched you guys in Greece in the game at Dumba, and I thought you were unbelievably ordinary, and I didn't really see too much attacking threats. So that's what gives me the confidence. For me, AEK's weakness is our centre backs at the moment, and that's where I think PAOK, especially with Belkas and even Jolis, could possibly cause some damage there, because I know Svarnas, I think, is an okay defender, but him and Shigrinsky are very slow. So I'm worried. That's where I think PAOK might target us in the centre of our defence. That means our central midfielders in Kristisic and Shankov are going to have a strong game. So that's where I think PAOK's advantage can be. Our centre back is slow, and our left back is going to be potentially an injury-prone Lopez or an academy player, and that's where PAOK can target us. On the opposite side of things, I don't think PAOK's defence is as strong as it has been in past seasons. And with our strike power of Ansarifad or Oliveira and Livaya, and even if you put Albanis in there, I think we can cause some serious problems to the PAOK defence. And the other reason I'm confident is because we haven't played a game since the Atromitos game, which we lost. That came following the Wolfsburg game, so that was half expected that we were very poor against Atromitos, which I wasn't expecting us to be that poor, but I'm very sure Korea is going to have the guys up for this game, and we're going to come out firing for what is ultimately one of the biggest games in the season, because Olympiacos and PAOK are our biggest challengers. So that's what gives me the confidence that we're going to come out firing, and we're going to put up a good performance in Athens.
Yeah, you mentioned the attacking power of a couple players. I think that's somewhere that I put down that you guys might have the advantage with an Ansarifad, with a Livaya, okay, and Oliveira. I think that's definitely a strength of your club. Jono, I'm going to shift it over to you to talk about the PAOK side of things. Same questions for you. How confident are you of getting a result, of getting a win? Where do you think that the boys stand for the game in Athens on this weekend?
Well, I think, as Greg just mentioned, AEK has a lot of outs. So with all that in mind, I think that, look, I'm somewhat confident of a win. I don't think that we should be getting beaten given AEK's outs. All due respect, those central midfield outs, like you touched on, are big. Simoas has had a huge season. He's very important. And Mandalos, I know he can be criticised at times, but he's obviously a starter for AEK. He plays most games. So, I mean, I guess the central midfield isn't our strongest position. And given we have been playing with two this year, if anything, it probably evens it out a little bit. Doesn't necessarily mean we have an advantage over them. With Simoa's out, I mean, and obviously Galanopoulos has been injured, and he mentioned Szymanski as well. So it probably evens that out a little bit. I read earlier that El Kaduri came back from international duty with a bit of a knock, so they're not sure if he'll play. So we're probably looking at Sfab and a City, in which case you have one guy that can play the ball and one guy who's a destroyer, which I don't mind the City in a game like this, away against a fellow Big Four team. So I think it'll even out that area, and as Greg said, that left back spot looks to be a gaping hole. So Zivkovic plays down the right. We know that he's tricky. He's a good dribbler, he's a good passer, and Rodrigo's fit again. So I assume he'll come in and play right wing back. So I think you'll find, although we tend to play down the left, we'll be targeting AEK's left side, so playing down our right quite a bit this weekend. Do you agree with that? Do you think that those AEK injuries in central midfield are going to help us at least even it out in that part of the game?
Yeah. I think it's going to help us when you have quality players like that who are out. I think anytime that's definitely bonus for the opponent. I think that I'm very nervous about the central midfield pairing of Schwab and City. I don't know where offense is going to come from, but ultimately I think that we're going to be playing not to lose. Whether that's the right thing or the wrong thing, I'm not going to say. But I think ultimately that for a Schwab and a CD pairing, I think that's a good enough pairing to get it done defensively. Like you said, you have Schwab who can play that long ball, can win tackles quickly, play it to the side, play it ahead. Then you have Esiti, the destroyer, who is probably going to rack up a yellow card within the first 10 minutes, and then so it's funny because we could see it happening, but then he's going to be kind of useless after that, right? Because he's not going to be able to go hard in challenges, and we're not going to have that much depth there. I mean, who would you, if one of those goes out, who would you bring in to play that center midfielder role? Like a Nenua? I don't know.
Yeah, well, Nuno is the only one left. Look, El Kaduri might be fit. Hopefully he is, because he's had a huge season so far, so we want him to be fit. And yeah, at City, it's key that he probably will get booked at some stage, but you hope that the ref, is a more lenient one and lets him get away with one or two challenges. You want the yellow card to come as late as possible, right? So, because otherwise it prohibits him playing his game.
Yeah, I say the over under is probably 18 minutes. That's what I'm going for. I think it's going to be the under. But yeah, so I mean, I think that our attacking ability is going to be on the down low. I still don't know what we're going to get from a Solis, from a Zivkovic. We obviously know what we're going to get, but I don't know what we're going to get from a Cholak. If he starts, is he going to start Solis up top? Is he going to start Swiderski? There's a lot of different roles that that we could go as a starting lineup. It sounds like the center backs are pretty much set. It's going to be the ones, the three as usual, Varela, Engasi, Michailidis. You have Giannulli on the left. I do think it's going to be Schwab and City. On the right, I could see Mato starting still. I know Rodrigo is back, so I think it's going to be pretty close. I mean, it's going to be 50-50. And then I think it's going to be Zivkovic, Cholis, and Cholak starting up top. Would you say that's a good enough lineup to get a result?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's good for a draw. I actually forgot about Matos because he's been he was out of the team for so long, and obviously came back and played well against Orfi. So he's probably a good chance to start one of he or Rodrigo. The one I wanted to ask you about, you answered the question, was striker. Will Cholak start? Obviously, Svidevski came off the bench and scored twice against Orfi, so hopefully finding that goal-scoring touch again. But I would start Cholak there. As I agree with you. I just think that Svidevski doesn't offer enough without the ball, especially in a game like this where possession's going to be at best split. Chances are we'll probably have less of it.
Right.
So you need someone who can hold up, right? Who can play his teammates. Into the wide areas and help a little bit like that. Svidevski isn't capable, so I do think Cholak will start. I'm with you there. I just want to ask Greg. In terms of AEK's attack, do you think so? Livaya, I'm very curious about Livaya because he's a great player. and he kind of has been thrown around during his AEK career as an attacking mid, as a winger, as a striker. Where do you think his best position is, and where do you think he'll start this game?
I think, luckily for us, I think he's going to start in his best position, which is in the central attacking midfield, right behind the striker. He's been played on the left wing a fair few times, and he's just, especially this season, he's been, even though we're early on, he's been a little bit slow. He looked demotivated. In the Wolfsburg game, Carrera put him at the position he's going to play, I believe, against PAOK, and he turned up a gear. He was breaking. He was making breaks, and he's the one that actually got the assist for Sarifat on that amazing goal that we scored. So definitely don't want to see him on the left wing. If we see him on the left wing, that's only an advantage for PAOK. But I'm pretty confident with Mandela South. He's going to start in the centre, probably behind Oliveira or Ansarifat. And the good thing for us is, especially with Ansarifat, they both have really good ball playing skills, so they combine really well. He combined really well with Oliveira at the start of last year, but the combination started to just drop towards the end of the season, funnily enough. So I think he'll start there, and that's definitely his best position.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool.
I was going to pose a question to both of you. Greg, I'm going to put you on the spot first because it's a PAOK theme radio show, so I'll give Jono the home field advantage here.
Yes.
What's one thing that has to happen for Ike to win? And no, I'm not talking about scoring more goals, obviously, but what's one thing you think has to happen for them to win?
I'll tell you what that is. It's our left and right wings. They have to be effective. They have to get into the game and cause problems for PAOK out wide, not just in the centre. We know Livaya and Sarifat or Oliveira will cause problems there, and they'll give someone a handful there. But as we saw with Levi Garcia, as we saw with a young guy called Macarias in the game against, it was Lamia, when we had those two on and we had attacking presence on our right and our left wing, we were a whole new team, and it was a breath of fresh air for all AEK fans worldwide to see that. We haven't seen that for a long time. So if we're going to be, if we're going to win, that's going to happen that way, and that could be Albanis. It could be the new guy Tambakovic. I don't know if he's going to start yet, but the young Greek left midfielder Macarias was unbelievable, and I think even though that was his full game starting debut, I think he can cause PAOK just as much issues as he caused Lamia. And I really think if he starts, we got two really good dimensions on each side, which are going to give us that extra leg, including our attack through the centre, which will cause PAOK a lot of problems and give us a win that way. If we're only dangerous through the centre, then it's going to be hard for us to score.
Jono, how about you?
Yeah, look, not too dissimilar to Greg. I think it's our attacking three, right? It's time, Cholak, it's time to stand up and score a couple goals. I think we need to score more than one to win the game. I want to see us score two. AEK has, I think we're gonna get our chances. I think, attacking that left back, the centre backs, as Greg mentioned, can be a weakness. So I want to see Cholak cause them problems. I want to see Cholak hopefully score, if not have, a big hand in hopefully a couple of goals. So I think it's going to come down to the area which has been our weakness, in my opinion. Probably for a lot of the second half of last season and the start of this season, it's going to be our attack. It's going to be scoring. If we can score two, I mean, this is kind of obvious thing to say. I mean, you're probably not going to lose if you score two goals.
I was going to say that's a cop out. You're giving the easy answer.
No, but I think it's our attack, because scoring first, right? You can put them under a little bit more pressure, force them up the pitch, and then find a little bit more space on the counter. But that's what I want to see. I want to see a big performance from Cholak, who's showing glimpses, but I really want to see him take control of the game in an attacking sense and really assert himself. Do you agree, or do you have another view on what's going to win us this game?
I mean, obviously, I think if that happens, we're going to win. But I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to say I think if Solis has a game where he's the wonder kid of Greece once again, I think will be great. I think the last couple games he's kind of faded out, or he hasn't even started. So I think if he starts and he comes out and has a great game, I mean, because Zivkovic I think is going to do well. And if you could have both sides, him and Solis, coming out and providing instant offense, speed, creativity, drawing fouls, I think we'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here we go. Here's where we make the money. Greg, give me a score prediction.
I'll give you. I just realized I mentioned Pelkas before, but he's not even with you. He's moved to Turkey, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yep. He has.
So that's one attacking threat that I thought was there. That's absolutely gone. I think I'm gonna go AEK 2-1.
AEK 2-1. All right, Jono.
PAOK 2-0.
Wow.
We've only that would if we both said wow, that would be something crazy. We've only won 2 games in Athens versus AEK in the last 20 years. So if we could come out and win 2-0, I think that'd be a great result.
Well, let me tell you why I said 2-0. I was gonna go 2-1, then Greg said 2-1, and then you accused me of taking the easier out. So I went a bit more out there. There you go, Angela. How you like that?
All right, I'm gonna take the easy way. I'm gonna say 1-1.
Well, we have all bases covered, right? We have 1 AEK win, 1 PAOK win, and a draw. So either way, whatever happens, you heard it here first.
Exactly. Yep. Awesome. Any final thoughts? Any final comments, guys?
Look, it's a shame that there's going to be no fans with what's happening in the world these days. That's a bit sad, but look, I really hope we see a good open game, and I think we are going to see a pretty free-flowing game because both teams will want to win this. AEK will want to get off to want to make up for the loss to Atromitos, and PAOK is in a position where I think they need to show some real strength and get a big score after the. I know he's been off you convincingly, but before that there was a lot of ordinary results there for PAOK. So big game, and I really hope we from an AEK perspective, we hit the ground running. And because I know in the last few games we've had with PAOK, even in Athens, we've allowed PAOK to really dictate the play early on, and I hope we do the opposite on Sunday and take control of the game early.
Right, agreed. I think that I had something else I was gonna say. I'm hoping for a good game. Last thing we want is a 0-0 draw, right? I think we need both fan bases need a good performance by their team, and we'll see what happens. For me, I'll take a draw, especially with our midweek match against Omonia coming up. So I'll take that. Jono, any final comments?
Nah, I agree with you guys. I mean, I'm with you. Like, I would take a draw. Like, all jokes aside, I would take a draw. I'd be happy with a draw. But I think with AEK's out, it's a good opportunity to go and beat one of our direct rivals and get 3 points. So anything less than a draw, I'll be disappointed. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully a good game. But I wouldn't be surprised to see it as a bit of an arm wrestle because I know Carrera is tactically quite good. We didn't really get a chance to talk to Greg about Carrera, but the way I've seen him from the outside, he's tactically quite good and he keeps his teams quite solid. So
can I add something on that? You just reminded me of something. Look, the formation AEK starts with is probably going to be another big factor in this because I personally have found he uses the 4-3-3 a lot, but I don't think we've ever really played the 4-3-3 effectively. And I definitely prefer a 4-2-3-1 when AEK plays that. I think we look so much better. So keep an eye out on that. The formation that AEK starts with. If it starts with a 4-3-3, I think PAOK has your chances of winning will raise a little bit, go up a bit. Whereas if we start with and play a 4-2-3-1, that's when I'm more confident of an AEK win.
Okay, well that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah,
but yeah, like I think it'll be an arm wrestle. I think Carrera likes he can keep it tight, and if you remember the game in the playoffs, I mean, PAOK came for the draw. It was a 0-0, and it was like an arm wrestle. Like both teams were happy not to really concede too many chances. So I think this one will be a little bit different. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully it is a good game and there's a couple of goals just for us in Australia, right? We're going to get up at 4:30 to watch it, and Angelo in America doesn't complain.
Yeah, the game's on. The game's at 1:30 for me, so it's right in the middle of the day. So love it.
Yeah, so lucky.
All right, well, thank you, Greg, for hopping on and talking about this big game. Wish you luck, but not too much luck. Thank you all for listening to episode 8. Good luck to whichever team you support, and stay safe. We'll talk to you next episode.